$15,000 in 3 weeks. That is how much revenue my consulting agency has done using AI agents. I have never wrote a single line of code. I am not a developer. I'm just a business owner and operator. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it, how much it costs to run this, and why it is the absolute biggest opportunity right now on the internet. Quick background on me, I've been in business for 8 years, and 7 of those 8 years I was drop shipping, where I generated over $20 million in revenue. And for the last year, I have essentially been running a consulting company where I would come in and I would optimize the infrastructure and workflows of the employees to ensure that we can cut overhead as much as possible, trim all the fat off the processes, and that way the clients are set up to sustainably scale. And as they scale, I help them continue to stay optimized. Well, now it's kind of it's actually completely different. Not kind of, it is completely different, because at the end of the day, now what I'm doing is I'm essentially I went from automating or optimizing the humans to now automating entire workflows and completely eliminating a lot of what the employees have to do in certain workflows by using AI agents, right? I've literally come across OpenClaw 3 weeks ago, and ever since I came across it, I have been absolutely obsessed. I mean, I was just working on this stuff. It's 4:09 in the morning. You can't see the time. It's 4:09 in the morning right now. I've been working on this stuff all day and most of the night. So I'm absolutely obsessed with this. This video is going to be all real results. This video is not going to be any hype. And I just want to share with you the absolute opportunity that there is right now and break down how this works, because a lot of people have the consensus that you need to be a developer, or this is mainly for developers, because a lot of these people who are actually making content on this are developers. But I'm not a developer. I've never been one. I've never wrote code, as I stated earlier. And at the end of the day, I just want to bring you some real raw advice and real raw results and share my experience with OpenClaw as somebody who is what I would consider a quote unquote common user, someone who's not a developer, who's never been in a terminal before, and essentially open Pandora's box for you and show you what is possible. If you are a business owner or you're looking to start a business, then this video is definitely going to be for you. So let's talk about what OpenClaw is really quickly for those of you who don't know and maybe are stumbling across this for the first time. To put it very simply, OpenClaw is an open source software. You can essentially go ahead and install it on your computer, Mac, Linux, or Windows, and you can spawn in a AI agent. Now, I'm not going to go and fully break down what OpenClaw is. I'm going to make a separate video for that, but that is essentially what it is in a nutshell. It allows you to have an AI agent as what you could have as a personal assistant, or you could utilize it for whatever purpose you like. Now, when it comes to the team I've built, it's a pretty solid team of AI agents at this point. And again, I've only been at this for 3 weeks. And just to give you some context at how much time I've put in before I drop how many agents I actually have, I'm pretty much doing this every day, all day, 16 to 20 hours a day. Especially in the beginning, I was doing this for about 20-ish hours a day. I was not sleeping at all. My sleep schedule is absolutely screwed. So just want to make that very clear. It's 4:09, 4:10 right now, and I'm making this video. But when it comes down to it, I have a team of about 15 agents. And again, remember, I'm spending all day, every day inside of OpenClaw, whether it's working for stuff on my clients or just building things out for myself, and also doing some testing and tinkering and doing some R&D as well. So with that being said, I want to make that very clear, and I'm going to be very transparent with you in this video, as I will for the remainder of the videos that I make on this channel. Now, to tell you where I have these agents placed, I have a couple placed in each of my clients' businesses. I also have a content team of agents for myself. They help me do a lot to run this channel, and it's going to be running this channel. I also have 2 agents that are also going to be, essentially doing a lot of some back-end stuff, some quality assurance, and a supervisor is one of them, making sure all the tasks that all of my agents are doing are actually being completed, checking the quality of the work. So it's checking all of the outputs that those agents are producing to ensure that there's nothing wrong with those, and those outputs are actually validated in what we're actually looking to have as an outcome. And then also I have another agent that is essentially making sure that the health of my system and the health of the whole operation is running smooth, making sure that the API connection and API keys and connections that I have are firing on all cylinders, making sure there's no errors, making sure cron jobs are being filled, which if you don't know what cron jobs are, they're essentially just tasks, but essentially making sure that the whole operation internally runs smoothly. So that's where I have about 15 agents working. I have them spread across multitudes of different things, and each agent has like 1 to 5 tasks, okay? You're not going to want to give them much more than 5, Anything after that, they can, essentially start getting confused, and you want to make them very specific to what they're doing. Like if they have a specific scope of work, it doesn't go outside that scope of work. So that's why they have about 1 to 5. Some of them have 5, some of them have 3. Really just depends on the scope of work and what I want them to do. But I want to share one thing with you as well, and that is that you need to ensure that when you're doing this, and the way that I'm viewing this, which is going to help you immensely, is if you're thinking about getting into OpenClaw, which you should treat these AI agents as employees, okay? I'm going to make a separate video on why that's super important and a lot of the mistakes that I see people making here on Twitter that are complaining about OpenClaw, but essentially I treat all of these AI agents like employees because that's essentially what they are. Now, I want to talk about the first automation that I actually built, and again, I'm going to tell you exactly how I did this stuff and what they're actually doing, okay? So the first automation was in one of my clients' businesses, and it has to do with the onboarding process, right? So they sign up a client, and then the onboarding process happens. And this is actually a little twofold here, because when they send out contracts and this client's sales team sends out contracts, what they do is inside of, they use ClickUp. So inside of ClickUp, one of the agents, and which is like the front end ops agent for this business, essentially what he does is he's polling this specific chat channel every 30 minutes. And I have a template that I've guided the employee or the head of sales or the sales team to send inside of this channel. So it's polling every 30 minutes, and the template that I have structured, not to get into too many intricacies, but essentially what it is it tells the agent what contract to pull, the name of the client or the potential the prospect or potential client, and their email. And then once it gets that information, it goes into DocuSign, it sends out the agreement, and then it auto signs on the client's behalf, the client being my client, signs it on their behalf. So that way, when the client signs it, or the prospect that is going to be a client, what happens is that document is now already complete. And so then that same agent is also polling DocuSign every 30 minutes. And when I say polling, I mean he's just checking to see if there's any new completions or any new triggers that will trigger him to start the automation. And so once that happens, then this is where the process could take about 45 minutes. The process for onboarding is very extensive for this client, and it spanned it across 2 different departments. Okay, so once it polls and it sees that the contract is completed, then what it does is a multitude of different things across a multitude of different software. So it's using DocuSign's API to pull it. After it does that, then it goes ahead and takes the contract, and there's in that contract, there's a lot of information. Then it will take that information, it will then go into ClickUp, and it will create a client card for the back-end team to utilize. When it does that, it puts the name of the client, all the information in the description, and then takes the client agreement and a couple other documents that are inside of that bundle envelope, and it will download those, put those into the client's ClickUp card for reference for the team later on, then delete those from the actual Mac that I'm running this on. After that, it goes and it knows what Google Sheet to actually copy and make for the client. It then changes the name of the Google Sheet, parses all the information that we need from the contract, puts it into the spreadsheet for the client that the back-end team uses, and then after that, what it does is it goes into Slack and it creates the Slack channel with a formula based on how they like to structure the names of each Slack channel. Once that is done, it then adds everybody into the Slack channel from the team. It then sends a welcome message and then invites the client. Now, if you guys don't understand how much time this actually took for the team to do this, spanning across 2 different departments, then you don't understand the magnitude of, first of all, just how much time that saves. That saves 45 minutes per client. This client is signing multiple clients per day. So let's just say it saves two clients a day. That's an hour and a half. Times an hour and a half by 2 for every 2 days, that's 3 hours for every 2 days. That's over 6 to 7 hours a week. Times that by 4, let's just do on a bare minimum, let's just say 6 hours. Times that by 4, that saves the client 24 hours in overhead that he is paying the team in order for them to complete this. That saves 24 hours of the employee's time to now be spent doing something that is higher leverage and going to give either the client a better experience, or they're just doing higher leveraged activities. So at the end of the day, this is a massive, massive overhaul for the client. And this is just one section that I've automated. And that's a pretty complex build for the most part, when it comes to just simple automations and things like that. Like, you have to understand, when I say this is complex, it's complex relevant to what I'm having these agents do for businesses. It can definitely get much more complex than that, but at the end of the day, in this sense, I mean, it's going and talking to multiple different APIs. It's going through multiple different platforms and multiple different places to get and pull information. This is a pretty extensive process. So there's a lot of things that can break when this process happens. So the principle of the matter is that's what the agent is now doing just on the front end. It is saving the client overall. It's saving the client's employees 20 to 24 hours at a bare minimum of hours spent working for these employees, doing these tasks repetitively. And then also that is now allowing his employees to be able to not only take things off their plate so it can now give them more bandwidth to do more things, but those things that they can now replace that time spent with is going to be much higher leverage. So that way at the end of the day, his money is spent much better on the employees. And now the second thing that I have done here is I've gone ahead and automated some of the bookkeeping, right? So one of my clients, they have their bookkeeper who has to do a bunch of different stuff in order for them to know what commissions are going to get paid out, et cetera, et cetera. Essentially go in to the payment processor, pull everything, figure out what's actually going to be commissionable to the sales team, what's not, and then ensure that those commissions are, actually calculated correctly. I've automated this entire process, and I obviously work directly with the bookkeeper because I'm helping run the operations for the company. So I talked to the bookkeeper and I asked him, I said, how long does it take you to do this? There's a lot of transactions on this sheet, and then you have to do all the formulas and all this stuff. And yes, you could duplicate some of it from tab to tab inside of Google Sheets, but how much time is this really saving you if I automate it? This was before I even told him I was going to do it. And he was like, dude, honestly, I spend about 2 to 3 hours on this every single month. Okay. Now, you may not think that is a lot of time, but when you're a bookkeeper or you're an accountant, you have to understand that we're not the only client, okay? This guy's got multitudes of clients that he has to do similar or other extensive work for. So when it really comes down to it, yes, I'm saving him only, quote unquote, 2 to 3 hours of work, but that's 2 to 3 hours that he can just allocate elsewhere, whatever he wants to do. So what did I do? I went ahead and I said, listen, I'm going to automate this for you. And I automated this in about 2 days. Now, this was very simple. I just went and got the API key from the payment processor. I then go ahead and connected it to OpenClaw. And the agent, after I did that, it just pulls in all the data every single day. So now this is not something that gets done once a month. Now what happens is this gets done every single day. So every single day at 11 o'clock at night, it goes in and it checks the payment processor for any new transactions. Takes the transactions, it knows where to parse all the data and put it in the spreadsheet. So that way at the end of the month now, the bookkeeper could just come in, take a look at this and go, hey, yeah, everything looks good. Done. Takes him from a 2 to 3 hour job. Now it takes him 15 minutes. Saves him a bunch of time. He loves working with us. And now I'm currently working to automate the process and parse all the information to then give it to him in a much more formulated way on a spreadsheet so he can have a P&L calculated for us, and I can look at that every single month and every single quarter, month by month, and then obviously quarter by quarter. So there's a lot to do there, but principle of the matter is we're saving him about 2 to 3 hours of work per month for just us, and then imagine that being at scale. So again, something super simple like this that you may not think is super beneficial to the person who's actually doing it. They're super grateful that I'm saving him that much time because he can then spend that doing whatever he wants elsewhere. Now, for a different client that I have, they have a e-commerce business. And so what happens is they will get spreadsheets in from their vendors at the end of every month. And then what happens is that spreadsheet gets corrected by an employee in the company. And then once all of the corrected figures and numbers are inside of that spreadsheet, then what happens is another employee would have to go in, take all that information and put it all into Airtable where the owners calculate everything and they have everything stored in a much better database than a bunch of spreadsheets. Now, this is a massive time saver because they're having to check every single order. They're having to make sure everything is essentially how it should be on the spreadsheet and then make sure that that gets put into Airtable properly. I have automated that entire process. That process took about 2 to 3 hours every single month for them to do. And now that gets done completely automated. And another process that I do want to talk about, and this will be the final process here, is that I'm going to talk about that I've automated for one of my clients. But one of the processes that I've automated is essentially the process of scheduling clients on the calendar. Now, They have a unique business. I'm not going to discuss and disclose what type of business they have, but it's very unique in the sense that once the client is ready to get scheduled and actually, go into the call, then what's going to happen is two things. One, on the back end of ClickUp, they have to mark the client as ready for the next call. Once they get marked as ready, then what happens is the agent is polling every 30 minutes to ensure that any new people who are marked as ready for another call then get outreach. Then my agent outreaches to the client inside of their Slack channel and says, hey, when are you available next for a call? Then it waits for the client's response, and it polls that every 30 minutes. So not only is it checking if the client is ready for the next call, but it's also checking for responses to the previous message to ensure that they can go ahead and get booked. When the client responds, then the agent goes and takes the time that they have said that they are going to be available for the call, and then then I've connected them to Go High Level. And I've connected the agent to Go High Level, where the agent is now going to be able to book that client on the calendar for the time that is supposed to. And then after that, once it's booked and the client is on the calendar, and then goes back to Slack, sends a message to the client saying, hey, your call is booked at this time. Please check your email confirmation. There should be a Zoom link in that email confirmation. And if there isn't, for whatever reason, here is the Zoom link here for you. Now, there could be a lot of things that happen. This is probably, and I gave it to you in a very dumbed down 30-second synopsis of it, right? But at the end of the day, this was probably one of the most complex automations that I ran. And the reason why is because there's a lot of variables that are not constant, meaning the client can respond and say tomorrow around this time or on this time, right? It could be very ambiguous. I'm not available today. Then the agent has to know how to respond. Okay, you're not available today. What time or what day are you available? The client responds, okay, what time are you available on that day? The client responds, okay, now I booked you in for here. Then the client could say, you know what, actually, I can't do that time. I actually need to reschedule. So then it's polling still until the call happens to ensure that there's no reschedule that needs to happen. If the client reschedules, the agent then knows to go ahead and cancel that call and then ask, no worries, we go ahead and reschedule you. What day and time are you available? And then the process goes ahead and rinse, repeat, and recycle till we get them on the calendar. Now, this was the most difficult for so many reasons. There were so many nuances that were going wrong and a lot of bugs that I had to fix. This one took me the most amount of time to do because it's now dependent on a response that is not going to be consistent. That one was tough, but at the end of the day, I obviously made it happen. I dialed in everything and made sure it worked. Now, I tell you all of these use cases not to sit here and try and bore you with all the different automations I've built, and these are just very much so just the small amount that I've done in 3 weeks. But I tell you this because this is a vast amount of use cases and a vast amount of tasks that I have automated. One's including client-facing, one's not client-facing. One's going through 3 to 4 different platforms like DocuSign, Slack, Google Sheets, ClickUp, and others that are just going through simple ones, right? Just polling DocuSign, sending the agreement, signing it on the client's behalf, right? At the end of the day, I'm telling you these because the use cases are literally unlimited. You could do whatever you absolutely want to do. The agent can do anything you can do. It all comes down to how you train it. And I'm going to make a video talking about how to train these agents because I need you to understand that your guidance and the way that you train this agent to do any specific task that I've discussed or anything else is extremely, extremely crucial. And it is what is going to dictate how well the output is. Always remember, the input dictates the output. If you have a bad input and you're not clear on it, you're going to get a very bad output. So understand that. That's extremely important when you're already, because I can tell if you're watching this video, you're probably already thinking, dang, I can automate this. I can do a lot of different things right now just by understanding the use cases that I've put these to. And this is just a small sample size of what I've having these agents do. But at the end of the day, now your wheels are probably churning. And just know that if you're wondering, I wonder if an agent can actually do this. Yes, it most likely can. You just need to be able to train it correctly. Now, let's talk about the proof that it works, okay? Obviously, everything that I just discussed with you here and all the things that I automated are a very small sample size, but at the end of the day, I'm not just out here making this stuff up and off the cuff, okay? These are real-life examples on things that I'm automating on a daily basis with my clients, and that brought in $15,000 in revenue. I've also signed 2 other clients that I'm currently onboarding and working with as well. So $15,000 generated in the first 3 weeks. The first 3 weeks of actually doing this. Now, the cost. What are the costs associated with actually doing this, right? Well, very simply put, I'm using a lot of the cloud API keys to connect to Opus 4.6, Grok, ChatGPT, and a couple other ones as well, right? So, at the end of the day, it's not running this for free. I'm not running these on local LLMs. I'm running this on actual cloud-based, API keys and cloud-based LLMs. And I'm currently spending around $2,000 to $2,500 a month. That's currently where I'm at right now, but I'm guesstimating around $2,500. I'm currently close to the $2,000, but if I'm being transparent, I'm probably going to be spending around $2,500 to potentially $3,000, right? But at the end of the day, that's my only cost. That is my only cost. $15,000 in minus $3,000 out leaves me with $12,000 in net profit. The margins on these businesses is insane. Absolutely insane. And when local models catch up to the cloud-based LLMs, you're going to have no overhead, very minimal overhead. And yeah, sure, the upfront cost may be you buying a Mac Mini if you're starting. And if you're wondering what I'm running this on, I'm running this on a Mac Mini with an M4 chip with 32 gigabytes of RAM and about 512 gigabytes of SSD storage. So at the end of the day, I probably spent, I think, maybe $1,000 on this when I bought the Mac Mini a while ago. But when it comes down to it, the costs are nothing compared to what the revenue can be and the impact you can have on businesses, right? Like, think about this. Like, think of all the things that I just did. If I wanted to actually go out and hire employees to do that, which I actually know how much these employees are getting paid, it's much different. It's like $3,000 to do all of what I just said and some, much more than what I'm disclosing here just because for time's sake. I'm literally saving the company so much money. So much money. Not only because if I didn't outsource and automate these with AI agents, those employees would now not have the free time to now do higher leveraged activities, which would now need to be outsourced by another employee, which is going to have more costs. Second of all, I'm affecting multitudes of businesses for $3,000 per time. I'm just going to go high end just to be safe. $3,000 a month, okay? $3,000 a month, and I'm automating this across multitudes of businesses. I'm telling you right now, nothing even comes remotely close, and the margins are absolutely absurd. Let's think about it. $3,000 times or divided by 15, you're looking at, that's 20%. That's 20%. That gives me an 80% margin. That is absolutely ridiculous. 80% margin is absolutely ridiculous, and that's the margins of this business. And yes, as I get more clients, yes, that is going to go ahead and obviously scale. And I'm going to have to spend more until local LLMs catch up, of course. But principle of the matter is, though, is anytime I bring on more clients, I'm getting more money coming in on not only on the front end. That's not talking about the back end. That's not talking about the monthly reoccurring fee that they pay me every single month to maintain those agents. And on top of that, the monthly reoccurring retainer, the retainer that they pay me, is essentially going to be dictated on the scope of work that I need to have that they want me to do. So if they wanted to just leave it at what I have, then they would continue to pay me whatever retainer I'm charging them now. But if they want to extend and they want to expand that scope of work, I can now go ahead and say, okay, we're going to go ahead and increase the retainer because of the extended or expanded scope of work. That's how this works. So not only am I making $15,000 on the front end, but I'm also making reoccurring revenue every single month on the back end to maintain these agents and then also implement anything new that they want to automate and assign the agent it, set it all up, fix all the bugs, and move forward from there. So that's kind of how this works when it comes to the business model perspective, if you didn't know, but you probably already knew that. Now, I'm not the only one who's doing this, okay? Not at all, not even close. I just seen an interview the other day of a 15-year-old kid who is in high school, who goes to school for 8 hours a day, made $30,000 in his first 3 weeks of getting into OpenClaw, playing with it, tinkering with it, and then setting it up for people. That's what he was doing. He was setting up the OpenClaw for people. So I just want to tell you that because I want you to really understand the opportunity that you have with AI and the current level it's at. I don't think anybody expected AI to get to this level this quickly, but it's here and it's not going anywhere. And if you fail to jump on and start learning how to utilize it, 100% without a doubt, you're going to get left behind. You're absolutely going to get left behind. and you're not going to be valuable to many businesses or many people, because the only people that are really going to be valuable in the next 1 to 3 years and onward are people who know how to utilize it, know how to operate it, know how to fix it, and can service businesses with that skill set. It is a skill set that you cannot and you should not ignore, because it will be massively detrimental to your future if you do ignore it, especially if you're a business owner. If you're someone who has a job right now, you're also at massive, massive risk, because there's a reason why Google and major companies are laying off 50,000+ people from jobs. And why those people are getting let go. It's because AI is able to now compensate for all that work, which saves the company money, which allows them to invest more into whatever it is to grow the business infrastructure with the AI and the tech, so on and so forth. So you need to understand that this is real. This is here. It's not going anywhere. So instead of being upset that it's here, be happy that the opportunity is here and you are absolutely early to the game. Extremely early to the game. The level of early that I can probably quantify this as to you is being early to social media in like 2012, 2013, when social media marketing agencies were probably just spawning in and starting. That is how early you are to this process, or into this era, this new era, I should say, not process. That's how early you are. Now, how do I recognize that this is very early? Well, again, I have time on my side. I've been in business for 8 years. I watched a lot of things come and a lot of things go. I was early to Amazon dropshipping. I was early to Walmart. I was early to Facebook. And at the end of the day, high ticket dropshipping isn't really like very mainstream, but at the end of the day, that's something that's very low key, and I know that it's a very undersaturated market. At the end of the day, the principle of the matter is that I have time in, and I can recognize patterns because I have time in the game. And that's why I stress to you so heavily, and you can sense it in my like just overall tonality and passion that I'm speaking to you with when I tell you you're extremely early and you do not want to miss this. So with that being said, what's next? What can you expect on this channel? Well, I'm going to be documenting absolutely everything. I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours at this point inside of OpenClaw. Over 500 hours I've spent inside of OpenClaw, okay? So I've learned a lot, and I can save you a lot of time. And I want to go ahead and make content because I want to help people understand how to utilize this tech, because from an outside perspective looking in, when I'm scrolling through Twitter and I'm seeing everything that people are posting on X, it's people are scared to get into it and scared to use it for multitudes of reasons. One, security issues, which I wouldn't be worried about or concerned about, and I can make a video on why. Two, they see a lot of devs using it, and so they think that it's not going to be, applicable to a everyday user who uses AI. And three, it's kind of overwhelming from somebody who doesn't have the personality to just want to dig in and just go in and figure things out and tinker with things. Luckily, I'm one of those people who just likes to dive in, get obsessed, and figure out how everything works and go through all the settings, et cetera, et cetera. So, that's why people are very apprehensive to getting onto this and utilizing OpenClaw and sticking with these cloud-based LLMs on cloud-based servers. And there's so many reasons why you don't want to do that, and I can make a video later on with that. But at the end of the day, what you can expect from me is a lot of education, a lot of real-world use cases, a lot of breaking down workflows, processes, systems, how I treat my agents in the sense of how do I train them, how do I go about setting up the config file, how do I go ahead and make sure that the memory is intact and it's expanded and your agent has better memory, how do I ensure that you're not losing context after context compaction, how do I make sure that all of these little things that people don't think about or don't know when they're first spawning in their first agent and spinning up OpenClaw on their Mac, like I'm here to give you all of that game for free, not holding a damn thing back, not holding anything back. I'm going to share absolutely everything with you, and I'm going to keep it 100% transparent on this channel. So this channel is going to be only OpenClaw. I don't care about anything else. I don't really care about what Claude is doing with Cowork. I don't care about Manus and their sandbox computers. I don't care about Perplexity and their sandbox computer. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about the MCPs that you can do with Manus. Like, all of that is garbage. All of it is just not, like, I don't care about any of it, because at the end of the day, they're all trying to keep up with OpenClaw. And OpenClaw is where the real players are going to be at, and that's where you really want to be when you're going to be able to leverage it to its fullest potential. All these other ones are just catching up. There's a reason why OpenAI partnered and went in with Peter Steinberger on this, because at the end of the day, it's it is the future. You need to understand it is the future. So that's what you can expect. Tutorials, education, just overall everything and anything you can think of with OpenClaw, it's going to be on this channel. And if you want to see anything specific based on actual business owner utilizing OpenClaw, not a dev or not someone who's, actually coding and doing all of this stuff, someone who's potentially in your shoes, who's a business owner and wants to actually learn how to use this, that is what this channel is going to be for. I know that there's a lot of people out there who are not developers and who don't have any coding background or anything like that, and it's very hard to resonate with these folks who are, because they're talking in terminology and, being able to make things that seem relatively easy when they're relatively not. And they'll utilize terminology that you just don't understand or just sounds so foreign, because in the tech world, if you're a dev, et cetera, and this is coming from someone who's not, they understand what they're talking about. I don't understand that. At first, I still don't know what an ACPX plugin is. I don't know what the hell that is. I have no clue at all. So at the end of the day, I'm just wanting to be very transparent and let you know that this channel is solely about OpenClaw, and it's going to be from the perspective of me, which is a business owner and a business operator, and showing you how you can utilize this. Not only utilize it, but also utilize it not just in your business, but to the best of its capabilities, because out the box, this thing is not going to be as optimized as you can make it. So that is what you can expect on this channel from here moving forward. So if you're trying to learn OpenClaw, then I need you to do me a solid favor, and I need you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, smash the like button so you can see more videos like this, not just of myself, but also anything else related to OpenClaw. And lastly, comment down below. Let me know what you want to see. I have so many video ideas that I'm going to be going and rolling out. I'm going to be uploading content every single Monday and every single Friday for you. And this is just the beginning. So subscribe, comment, smash the like button. Let me know what you want to see down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.